Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this morning with all of you students, and I want to thank Brookhaven College for hosting this and letting us be a part of your day. To introduce myself, I am Bob Phelps. I have served as mayor in the city of Farmers Branch before, and I retired in 2008, and since then literally hundreds of people have urged me to run again. These people want me to use my experience and my leadership in the area which they see some needs, some of which are we need to reconcile our staff with the citizens again. The biggest issue that I have faced talking to people in the city is the certificates of obligation. And these are choices that the citizens have made. They voted on it and turned it down on a couple of big issues. The council overrode their wishes, issued certificates of obligation to finance projects that they wanted to do. The other thing is to address the needs of our infrastructure. And these are things that I want to achieve as the next mayor of Farmers Branch. I've tried to be a good servant leader for our city. We are elected, the council and mayor is elected to serve the citizens, not to rule over them. I was first elected to city council in 1986, served there for 9 years. In 1996, I was elected mayor and served there for 12 years. I volunteered for our police department COPS program, and I was #1 in the city to sign up for both the fire and police academies. Family, my wife and I, Dee, got married in 1955. That's almost 59 years ago. We moved to Farmers Branch in 1957. We have a son and a daughter. Both are graduates of R.L. Turner High School. We have 3 grandchildren and 3 great-grandsons. I retired from State Farm Insurance on December 31st, 2006, after 43-plus years as an agent. I had a large agency on Josie Lane next to the post office. My wife, Dee, is second vice president of the Farmers Branch Women's Club. She's involved in many organizations in the city. We've been active members of First Baptist Carrollton for 27 years, and we're charter members of the Metrocrest Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. While mayor, I supported a committee of leading citizens to commission poppies. This is a bronze statue of a veteran on a bench holding a poppy, as well as the Walk of Honor, whereby citizens can honor our veterans. Farmers Branch is proud of our veterans. As mayor, I've had the privilege of serving our community and regional organizations, such as serving on the board of directors of the Dallas Regional Mobility Coalition, the Regional Transportation Council, and secretary, treasurer, and president of the North Central Texas Council of Governments, which serves a 16-county area. I was also president of the Metroplex Mayors Association, which has 25 cities as members. I'm currently on the board of the Farmers Branch Chamber of Commerce, previously on the board of the Metrocrest Chamber, and have been a member of Carrollton Farmers Branch Rotary Club for 28 years. As mayor, I oversaw unmatched growth and development in Farmers Branch, resulting in capital projects which were paid for when completed. These include the Farmers Branch Justice Center, the Senior Center, the Recreation Center, Fire Station number 3, and was honored to have Fire Administration Building named after me, which is Bob Phelps Fire Administration Building, and the new water tower on the west side of our city. All of these were paid for without selling bonds. The Renaissance area, which is a reconstruction project of replacing older homes with new homes, was started during my tenure. My wife and I built a new home in the area. We now have 69 homes either built, under construction, or lots that have been sold for new homes. We also started the dividend program, returning dividends to our citizens 2 years in a row. Farmers Branch was honored by Harvard University for innovations in government for that. Our city infrastructure was in sound condition, and economic development had never been better. It's time to restore these things that our citizens want and deserve, and bring the city we love back together again. Thank you.
I'm running for mayor of Farmers Branch. I want to thank Professor Din and the Institute for Political Studies for this opportunity to visit with the staff, the faculty, and the students at Brookhaven College. I believe Farmers Branch is at a turning point. We can stay the same or move forward. To be a modern city, we need to do two things. First, we need to invest in our infrastructure, and secondly, we need to excuse me, leverage our residents' knowledge and skills. We need new ideas and new faces to move our city forward. Now is the time for leadership that can rebuild a cooperative spirit in Farmers Branch by creating a common vision for our city. As mayor, I will be that kind of proactive leader. And that's all I'm going to say about my platform. You can find out more details at my website, caroldingman.com, or by using the contact information on my flyer, which I left on the table by the door. Instead, I'm going to talk about why Brookhaven College is responsible for me being a candidate for mayor. I learned about Brookhaven the first day I was ever in Texas. In 1970, my husband was transferred to Dallas, and we bought a house here in Farmers Branch. I arrived after the movers with my 3-month-old baby. Driving up Marsh Lane for the first time, I saw a big sign that said, "Future Site of Brookhaven College." I was delighted that we would live within walking distance of an institution with so many possibilities. In 1974, as a charter member of the Carrollton Farmers Branch Association of University Women, our group was asked by Dion Holt, who was to become the college's first president, to help lobby the Farmers Branch City Council to change the property's zoning so the college could be built. As an educated woman, a mother of 2 preschoolers, and a former teacher, I raised my hand, rather naively in retrospect, to help get the college into our city. Thus began almost 2 years of going to city council meetings, to Dallas County Community Board meetings, meetings with Addison city officials and other community members. The night a Farmers Branch councilman said, "We don't need the college here because there are no children on my street." And I knew there were 900 children in McLaughlin Elementary. Everything became clear to me. I realized that the power was not in lobbying the council, it was in being on the council. I said to myself, I can do that, and I can do that better than he can. End of story. The college got their rezoning, and I ran for council in 1976, in 1978, and in 1981 I finally won a seat. I became the first woman in modern times to serve on the city council. I served 6 years and went on to do other kinds of community service. 8 years ago, when the immigration issue surfaced, I actively opposed it from day one. As a result, Ana Reyes, our first Hispanic council member, recruited me to run for mayor because of my community and city government experience. She, 2 other council members, and I believe that my city and community experience has given me the knowledge and the skills to work with everyone in our community to build that common vision to move our city forward. And I owe it all to Brookhaven College. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for coming out because it's really important to get a chance to meet with the young people and all the students. My name is David Koch. I was born and raised in Farmers Branch. 1961 was the day I set ground in Farmers Branch. I've been running around here ever since. As a child and a teen, we played on this ground before they ever built the college, and this nice subdivision across Marsh Lane was one of our playgrounds. I grew up on the Creek right behind here. And so I have Farmers Branch in my blood. It's near and dear to my heart. I moved back here after going away to college and to law school in 1992, and I've been here ever since with my family. By day, I'm a lawyer. I do a lot of work related to development, real estate, business, and construction. Most of it is dispute resolution. So I have to find a way to solve issues and solve problems. And that has helped me a lot because, like the other members here, we were all on council. Mrs. Dingman was on council from 81 to 87. Mr. Phelps was on from 86 to 2008. I was on council from 2007 to 2013. We all have success stories that we can point to. We all have issues that you can point to and you can pick at and say, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right. And it's fair criticism and it's fair accolades either way. I enjoy Farmers Branch. As I said, I was born here. My wife of 25 years, my 3 kids are enjoying it a lot, and we intend to stay here for a long time. Now, I was also a student here at Brookhaven College. My primary school was at North Texas, but during the summers I took classes here. So I sat where you are. I'm not sure it was this auditorium, but I sat in auditoriums and other classrooms. I had some very good teachers. Elaine Brazell sticks in my mind. I had another teacher that was a disaster, Jeff Licker. Now, you ask, well, why do I say that? 2 reasons. It's important to you to know that an institution will survive bumps in the road, the Jeff Lickers, because you have the Elaine Brazells. It's important to stick with your institution. It's important to make sure you reach out and find the best people to help educate you. It's also important because life is going to deal you cards. You're going to get a Jeff Licker. You're going to get an Elaine Brazell. You need to remember to learn from the Jeff Lickers, the bumps in the road, and cherish the Elaine Brazells. That's very important. Now, let's change gears a little bit. I can tell you what I did, but I'd rather talk about generally, what does the mayor do in Farmers Branch? The mayor in Farmers Branch does not have a lot of power because he doesn't vote on issues unless there's a tie or it relates to the city manager's retention or salary. So what is the value of a mayor? The value of the mayor is the fact that he is the head of the city. He's the person that meets the businesses and the developers, that tries to recruit new developers, new businesses, tries to retain the ones we have. And these are very important for a city to succeed. Without the right face of the city, then you have trouble maintaining your businesses, maintaining your residents. And so you need to find somebody that really has the ability to look to the future, look to the present, solve the problems, solve the issues, but make sure what you do today will work in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. So I think if you looked at our track records, you would be able to see in 2007 we had issues that had brewed around for 20 years. And we solved those issues. But there are issues we solved that will be effective today, 5 years, and 20 years. So it's important not to know so much as students what our actual track records are, but to understand the process. And so for me, I'm glad you're here, and hopefully we'll provide good answers and good insight today. Thank you.
The first formal question posed to the panel will go to Carol, and the question is, what value do you see in the relationship between Brookhaven College and Farmers Branch?
The obvious value to the city is having an educational amenity like Brookhaven that serves so many different purposes. Besides being a great value for students who want an associate's degree or an entree to four-year schools, it's an important resource for our businesses. As you know, Brookhaven partners with businesses to train their employees as well as offering many certificate programs leading to good jobs. Many students work in local businesses like the Metro Crest Community Clinic during their training. Having a local educated workforce is an important economic development tool for the city. Brookhaven is also a center for lifelong learning. From your Head Start program to early college, high school, to continuing education for senior adults, you provide education and enrichment for our city's residents. I know that your credit courses are serving many non-traditional students who are pursuing an education while working and raising a family. I admire and salute them for pursuing their education under these circumstances. The college and some civic organizations share a beneficial relationship. I am a member of two of these organizations, the Carrollton Farmers Branch AAUW, which I mentioned before, and the Carrollton Farmers Branch Rotary Club. Each of these organizations gives scholarship money to Brookhaven students. AAUW has had a partnership with the college for over 20 years to put on our Reach for the Stars program, which is a math and science career workshop for girls in 7th and 8th grade. And I think some of those girls who had gone through that workshop are now students here at Brookhaven. The first woman in our Rotary Club was Patsy Fulton, the president of Brookhaven College. Every president since, except your current president, Tom Chesney, has been a member, but we're still working on them. But the partnership that I like best is the one that I'm having right now with about 10 of your Brookhaven students who have volunteered to help my campaign. They've all done a great job, and I've enjoyed working with them. As mayor, I want to explore and establish many more of these beneficial civic and business relationships to advance both the city and the college. And I think going into the future, we need a lot of people involved. And you know, a lot of you, I've gotten to know my volunteers, and they're very thoughtful people who want to contribute, and I think that's just great. So keep up the good work, guys and girls.
Thank you, David. Could you go ahead?
When I sat out in the audience in the early 80s, like you are, I had no idea really where I was going, what I wanted to do, but I knew one thing, is I needed an education, and I needed to go to an institution, or in this case, multiple institutions, because when I was at Brookhaven, I was actually coming here during the summer, taking summer school courses, while I was actually full-time enrolled at North Texas State, now University of North Texas. I wanted to get classes taken care of so that I could focus on core classes on where I thought I might be going in the future. And so for me, Brookhaven was a personal partnership. It was one that helped me take this step from being a naive 18, 19, 20-year-old towards growing up and figuring out what my ultimate career would be. So the first part is the personal partnership that the school has with every one of us. Not just you, because you're not all residents of Farmers Branch, but anybody that attends the school. So that's number one. But number two is the partnership with the city. We are tied together geographically. The city and the school have to work together because we have, as a city, the ability to regulate and control things that the colleges does in terms of their construction and the infrastructure. So the partnership with the city is absolutely critical. We need to have people at the city that can work with the college to make sure that the growth of the college is productive and it meets the needs of the students now as well as in the future, because there will be changes in time. We've got good examples in the business world. Blockbuster was a huge company, immensely successful, Today they're gone because there wasn't an ability to meet the changes that were brought about by technology. So our colleges, along with the city, need to keep their partnership strong so that the college meets the needs of the students as we go forward. The third partnership with the college has to be with our businesses, because the college's goal is to train each and every one of you to be productive citizens, to have gainful employment, to live productive lives. And so if we don't, as a city, help the college reach out to the businesses and vice versa, then we do a disservice to both institutions, the city and the college, as well as to the businesses. So I think the partnership that's the third cornerstone, well, that's probably not an accurate way because corners suggest four, but the third pillar should be between the college and the businesses, and the city has the ability to help the college hook up with the businesses, because we're always working to recruit new businesses, whether it's developments or companies, and we're working doubly hard every year to retain great businesses. And a perfect example is a company called Maxim. Maxim is the old Dallas Semiconductor. They're about 2 miles northeast of here. They're one of our biggest employers. 4 years ago, they had an opportunity to either expand in Farmers Branch or expand in California. And there was a challenge in Farmers Branch to their parking issues. But as a city and as council, we got together and figured out a solution. We now have their regional headquarters. They spent $28 million on a new facility, and they remain our largest employer. That's the kind of employer that some of you may well be employed at. They develop specialty microchips. Very good product, a very good company, and a very good company that college could team with, a partnership with. We've got hundreds of businesses in the city that we should focus on and try to get the college hooked up with, so that you guys have an easier opportunity to get in the job. Because right now, we all know the job market is pretty tough. So, thank you.
Well, I understand the question is, what large construction projects has affected the politics and problems in Farmers Branch?
We'll get to that one next. We're going to just focus on the relationship between the college and the city.
Okay. That's number 2 question. I'll just say, when I'm elected, I hope to establish internship programs between the city and Brookhaven. When I was mayor, the city and Brookhaven had a good working relationship, and now I understand that relationship is strained. I would like to reestablish that good working relationship. First, I want to restart a program that I had called Tell It to the Mayor. This was a program where citizens, students, anybody can come in and talk about suggestions they have, or problems they have, or concerns they have. A lot of people will talk one-on-one when they would not get up before a crowd like we are today, or in front of a TV and speak. This worked very well before. I would also like to institute regular meetings with Brookhaven students and possibly staff, whereby I would come to your campus and meet with you, getting your ideas and helping you become involved in our city. This would be a win-win situation. As I'm on the board of directors of the Farmers Branch Chamber, so I'm vitally interested in business in our city. I would like to involve you in the chamber. Our chamber has school and business relationships, partnerships involving the schools, Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD, and the city. I would like to see that expanded to Brookhaven. During the question and answer program, I'm going to pose a question to y'all, and not that you answer it today, but contact me or let me know what you think and what ways you believe a closer relationship can be formed between the city and you as students and you as a college. What you do, what you think needs to be happening in our city. I feel most of these problems that we have students looking for jobs. It's got to be in the technology field. I think we all realize that technology is taking over our world. I think we as a city, colleges and schools need to embrace this and get on board, get a head start on the rush. We have lots of large businesses in the city, and in the next few years they're going to be looking for employees who can handle these challenges. This could have a severe impact on us all. We need to stay ahead of the crowd in providing short-term and long-term opportunities to help students and business owners fill these positions. I don't know exactly how they worked in the past. I know I used to come out here and talk to a government class 5 or 6 years in a row, and I always had good rapport with the students. And the internships would be that we as a council, we as the mayor, city staff, get with the staff of Brookhaven and work together, see what we can do to help students. I don't know exactly what we could do. I've been out of this now for 6 years, but I'm getting back in it, so we'll work on it.
I just want to commend you on it. I think it's a marvelous idea.
Thank you.
And I want to just quickly address the question sequence. The questions were sort of consolidated, and unfortunately, it seems like that information didn't get to everybody. But we'll find a way to work that initial project planning and major construction project issue back in. But I kind of modified things and I hope that it got into you in time.
Understand. I should have been listening closer.
Okay, the second question actually has been addressed in your answers. I thought that was interesting regarding the role that students and employees can play in city planning. You incorporated much of that into your previous comments. If anybody would like to make additional comments specific to the role of employees, we can continue in the same sequence since we're addressing the same topic. Carol, would you like to go first?
Addressed question 2, what role do you expect Brookhaven students to play?
Right, and city planning, it's very much related to the previous question.
When we look to the future, our city will become more culturally diverse. And all you need to do is look around this room and know that Brookhaven College is already very culturally diverse. As mayor, I would look to the staff, faculty, and students of the college to help our city manage that change. If we do, our diversity will become a strength and not a wedge issue which splits our city apart as it has done recently. I want to build a common vision to reunite our city after 8 years of turmoil we have experienced. Part of that is to actively get residents from across the city to participate in the decision-making process. My flyer, and if you look at my website, there's a fuller explanation of several initiatives I would take to make that happen. I would look to the Brookhaven's pool of expertise to develop new ideas for civic participation and developing new city leadership. One of my goals is to get people much more involved in the decision-making process, and that includes an active outreach to all parts of the community, young people, older people, people from all sides of our city. And I want citizens committees to look at all aspects of the city and come up with a common vision and a plan to implement that vision. We did that in the 1980s when I was on the city council. As a result, we built City Hall, we built the library, we built all the park improvements along the creeks, and we did some hard infrastructure kinds of projects, water, sewer, streets. And I think it's past time that we do that again, to have a citizen-based goal-setting process. So as we form these citizen committees, if we reach out very deliberately and to include a good cross-section, and there's no reason why we can't include people from the staff and students of Brookhaven College on these, because you are a part of our community, we can get people behind a common vision to reunite our city. Secondly, and more important even to me, is that we will be able to identify and develop some new leadership for our city. I really am too old to be out knocking doors, but we do have a gap in the people coming up. So that's why I was so happy to see those volunteers in my campaign, because you know, some of them are a little young, but if they keep at it 5-10 years from now, they can be standing here talking to you just like I am. I have always believed that the more people involved in the decision process, the better decision we have in the end. So you would be very welcome to participate in my administration as mayor. Thank you.
Just adding to what I talked about, especially with the businesses and the partnerships. The city council used to have an internship program with the high school, Arnold Turner, where we had the seniors come and mentor and team up with the council and the mayor, and they would participate in our study sessions and then sit in on the council meetings. And every once in a while, we would take it a step further. The council members would remove themselves from the dais and leave the students up to make some of the decisions. Now, they were generally decisions that were not really weighty, but it was to give the students an opportunity to get a feel for what it's like to be a leader, to need to make the decisions. And for some reason, that program stopped, but that's not a program that just needs to be or can be done at the high school level. It certainly can be done here at the college level. And in fact, I would think at a college level, there might be a little more interest and a little more impact from a relationship like that. So my thought would be for the school to just see how much interest there is, and then whichever one of us is elected mayor, come to the mayor and just say, hey, we'd like to explore this further, because that would be a great opportunity for you to get into a governmental issue, to learn a little bit about it. Because being a city councilman or mayor is not just a one-day event. For all of us, it happens every day, because we live with our neighbors. We have our boots on the ground, so to speak, because we are actually living where we are governing. And so we have the study session before every council meeting where we go over issues, and that's a great opportunity for students to learn about how a city runs. So that would be a perfect opportunity for us to try to bring the citizen or the students into the process, and it gives you more of a real-life learning experience. Sitting in the classroom is a great experience and a good benefit, and you don't succeed without it unless you're just a prodigy, you know, Steve Jobs of the world. But we know that statistically there are about one in this room that might be that type. So the rest of us are going to learn the hard way. We're going to sit through the classes. We're going to read the stuff. We're going to take the tests. And sometimes we're going to have to go back and reread the materials and maybe retake the test. But it's good to get some real-world experience. So that would be one way we could do it. As far as the benefit of the students and the city working together, again, go back to bringing three parties together: the school and the students on the one side, the city and the businesses, and have a better understanding of what the business needs are versus what the students' needs and wants are, and then the city, because we always are out talking to the businesses and recruiting the businesses or retaining the businesses. We could be in a good position to use that knowledge to help tighten and build the bond with the three groups to benefit the students. But that's, again, something that we need to put some flesh on the bones. We need to figure out how to make it work. But if there's a will and there's some commitment and some effort, we can make it work. The other way is for students students to volunteer. And some of that sounds, well, gosh, we're busy, we're studying. The city does a lot of fun stuff. And so I'd encourage you to look at some of the things we do that's fun. We have a historical park that is second to none in the Metroplex. It's over on the west side of town, close to City Hall. But we have more events there that require volunteer help, and we have a great group of citizens that help. But young people could help there also. We have Liberty Fest every year, which is a signature event for the school, where we usually put on some kind of musical event. For the last 4 years, we had groups like REO Speedwagon, Styx, some of the older groups that you guys are saying, man, this guy's old. But they were great successes. Last year we had a country and western motif, and this year we're going to have Symphony in the Park. So we kind of take our different picks of the genre of music, but we could always use the help of the students on those as volunteers. This weekend we had date night in the park. It was a great opportunity, but we also need help. This weekend, one of the biggest things and challenges we're facing is being green, being energy efficient, being concerned about recycling. The city had the citywide cleanup day. It was phenomenal, the turnout we had and the amount of materials that people brought, but it requires a lot of help from volunteers. So that's another way. And I know students and the younger people seem to be much more conscious of going green and recycling. And students and young people can be the teachers to the older folks like us about being good stewards of the environment. So I'd encourage you, if you're really interested, that's another avenue that you could get involved and help the city and help basically everybody. So,
Thanks.
Thank you. Maybe I'm on the right one this time. David mentioned the Student Government Day, and I want you to know that was a great success. The students arrived early in the morning, spent the whole day. We fed them hamburgers at noon, and then they conducted council meetings. The first student mayor I had was a young man that just fell in love with city business. That's what he wanted to do. He completed the school, and now he works for the city full time. And I still call him mayor because he was student mayor, and I've heard once a mayor, always a mayor. But anyway, under a partnership between Addison and Baylor University, graduates of Baylor's Accelerated Ventures Business Creation Program have access to free office space, mentorship, and other resources at an incubator sponsored by the town of Addison. The 1-year offer comes after they complete that for each company. The program comes with no strings attached. They're offered free rent for a year, and the business incubator was specifically designed for these students as a way to encourage startups and young entrepreneurs from the program to establish their businesses in Addison. Addison Mayor Tom Meyer, who's a good friend of mine, believes that collaboration not only could create jobs and businesses, but also help the town be more innovative, creative, and physically responsible. And I would say perhaps working together, the City of Farmers Branch and Brookhaven could come up with a similar program. To get more citizens involved in city government, we have to open our ears and listen to them and what they want to see our cities become. As I said before, I'm on the board of directors of the Farmers Branch Chamber. It is the mission of the Farmers Branch Chamber to provide economic development, promote civic activity, foster leadership training, advance sound entrepreneurial policy, and effectively monitor legislation by uniting the business community and its citizens. I believe these goals should involve Brookhaven students also. You are the future of our businesses. I would like to institute a leadership training to educate citizens in the areas of our city and our chamber, and then encourage these people to become involved in the city, lending their talents in various leadership roles. Again, this is a win-win situation. When I am elected, I want to dispel the image of unfriendliness in Farmers Branch, such as the belief that some students are being pulled over solely because they're Hispanic. That is absolutely not true, and I want to see that image of our city cease. I want to restore our city to treat all of our citizens equally. The more that we can get people involved, the better our city will prosper for all concerned. We must work together as a team to improve all of our lives. I've done that in the past, and I want to do it in the future. Thank you.
The third and final structured question actually touches upon some of the themes that have come up in all of your comments regarding businesses and development efforts. So, David, would you please comment on some of the impact that the 635 expansion, 35 expansion, DART expansion, trail expansion, all these development projects have had on the city's planning process, and how you see the community and the college moving forward in terms of what's it going to be like for citizens and visitors to this city in the future under your leadership?
All right, that's a lot to pack into one question, but I'm going to do what I can. The big projects, 635, the impact it's had on the city. Number one is the businesses have really felt the impact along 635 where the access to their stores has been limited. But fortunately, we have survived that. The project is about a year from completion, and everybody that I'm aware of has weathered that. We've specifically targeted, when I was on council in 2007 through 13, we specifically made an effort to reach out to the businesses and help them weather the storm, not just the retail, but also the businesses in the office buildings along 635. So that was a specific issue we had to address because we knew there was potential for a negative impact. The construction did have a negative impact on property values too, because you're not bringing in new businesses when somebody knows for 5 years there's a big construction project along the way. So we had to work around those issues, and so we focused on other areas. We focused on our Four Corners, which is at Josie and Valley View, which was the center of our town, and so we started an effort to revitalize that. We started efforts to revitalize the housing stock in the town. So that's the 635. The DART rail station, we started buying property around the DART rail station so that we could have the land ready when the train station arrived. And we could bring in basically a new town center. And if you've been down to our DART rail station, which is down at Old Denton Road in Valley View, you'll see that there's a very high-end apartment complex under construction, should be finished by July. We have a new residential community, Mustang Crossing, where there are 29 brand new homes. One developer bought all the lots and will have finished every house within a year, which will bring in more young families, which is something that's critical to a successful town. You have to have young families with kids to fill the schools, to use the parks, to support the retail and the businesses in town. So that's been very good. Now, you could take a flip side and look at it and say, well, DART line, what did it cost us? And you weigh and balance. I think it's a good investment over the long term. We have spent $300 million being part of DART since the inception. It's a lot of money for a small town. And if you had $300 million, what could you do elsewhere? In hindsight, you could do a lot of stuff. But ultimately, the town needed to participate in an effort to provide mass transit. So, and we needed to have a new downtown, because Farmers Branch never really had a downtown. So that will ultimately become our downtown. It will be a rallying point for the citizens. It will be a sense of pride for our city. The college itself has a lot of opportunities for expansion. I can't speak to Dr. Chesney and what all he wants to do, but I know that there are a lot of opportunities. They are working with the Vitruvian right now to bring in the trail from the Vitruvian project, which is this large development right behind us to the north, that will allow students and residents both in Addison and the Farmers Branch to access the trails and provide links from Addison to Farmers Branch to Dallas. And if you're really energetic, you can make it all the way into Irving to the Calvion Trail and all up and down the Trinity River. So the trail will be a tremendous benefit to link Addison and Farmers Branch and then further south. So that's a good thing that we have. The Vitruvian development, though, has presented its challenges. In 1996, a group of citizens got together because they were concerned about the creek that runs right behind the college. And it runs all the way down to the Trinity River, and there are a lot of houses on the creek. And in the mid-90s, what we had is with all the development from Marsh over towards the Galleria, because Farmers Branch goes all the way to the Galleria, stops at the toll road, is the runoff from rain was creating a lot of erosion on the private properties. And so the citizens banded together to try to seek out help from the city to address those issues. But that's an example. Now, fast forward, almost 20 years later, a group of citizens is banding together again. Creek is the issue. The Vitruvian development is the impetus of it. The creek is dry. We're not getting near as much water. And so there's a concern that because the Vitruvian developed a large lake, which is a beautiful feature, and if you've ever been over at Christmas time and you see all the Christmas lights up there and they're reflecting off the water, it's a beautiful event. But the downstream residents are concerned that the water is being trapped and not getting downstream. So now the citizens are trying to work with the city to solve that issue. And that's a good example of how there are unintended consequences of good plans. And sometimes good plans have flaws, and this is one that the city and the citizens of Farmers Branch will have to work with the city and the citizens of Addison and the developer to find a solution. But there is a solution. We just have to work together and have the patience to find that solution. So I could come up with 15, 20 different examples, but I think I owe it to my compadres to give them a chance. So
Thank you. Bob.
Again, thank you. You know, Brookhaven College is a great asset to the city of Farmers Branch, and I'm hoping that Farmers Branch can be an asset to Brookhaven College. I understand that Brookhaven has lost a number of students to other schools because of the construction of I-35 and LBJ. Getting to and from Brookhaven is a lot more complicated and lengthy process than it used to be. I worked for 20 years trying to get DART to put the Green Line in out here. It was a long time in coming to fruition, lots of meetings, lots of hours spent, but we finally made it. I would bring this type of determination in standing up for the rights of our city, Brookhaven, and others affected by highway construction. The Green Line has been beneficial for those taking mass transit transportation to and from Brookhaven and other places in our city. We have a large number of residents that ride the Green Line downtown Dallas to work. I was on the council when projects were going on involving I-35 and I-635. I have firsthand knowledge of how to deal with authorities handling highway expansion and construction. Our citizens along LBJ and affected by LBJ currently are not well represented. There have been many complaints by residents who do not feel that they're being listened to or represented. The I-35, I-635 construction is a different story. It has impacted the politics to a certain extent because citizens can't get where they want to go as fast as they would like to. This is a short-term problem, as David said, but in the long run, it will benefit our entire region.
I got a different question. What future development efforts can the Brookhaven College community look forward to as both citizens and visitors to your city? I hope the biggest change we will see is that our city will once again be viewed as a welcoming place. I'm sure all of you have heard of our struggle with the immigration issue. I am the only candidate in this race that had nothing to do with that. Both my opponents, one was on the council and one was the mayor when it came up. So my election would send a message that things in Farmers Branch have indeed changed. I would also like Farmers Branch to be a leader in going green. I think that effort would be a great partnership for the city and the college. we, as a result of Ana Reyes's efforts, there was a citizen committee appointed to study whether or not we should have curbside recycling here in 2014. It turns out Farmers Branch is the only city in the Metroplex, except Hutchins, that doesn't offer curbside recycling to its residents. Even Wilmer has curbside recycling. So I think we're long overdue for that. When I am mayor, we will have curbside recycling, and we will join the rest of the world in going green. As an aging inner ring suburb, we need to focus on repairing, replacing, and improving our infrastructure. If we provide quality infrastructure in our residential areas, people will be motivated to fix up their homes. Buyers will be motivated to renovate older homes or perhaps even replace them. I hope that many of you will think of living in Farmers Branch when you buy your first home or move. We're a city with a great location and many great amenities, like, for instance, Brookhaven College. We also need to be sure our commercial area streets and utilities are in good shape so we can stay competitive in the marketplace. Our commercial areas provide 80% of our tax revenue, so we need to keep a sharp eye out to keep that golden goose laying that revenue egg every year. I want to see a trail system that connects the DART station to the college on the east and to the John Burke Nature Center on the west, which will then connect with the Irving Trail. I support beer and wine sales in retail outlets. This wet-dry proposition is on the May ballot along with the mayor's race. I found people want a dog park. We should establish a city arts and cultural advisory committee, a farmer's market. We are a farmer's branch after all. We should allow urban chickens and have weekly YouTube fireside chats with the mayor. We need a central meeting place where residents and visitors can congregate and mingle, and we should teach Spanish classes for English speakers at the library. All these ideas came from the residents. I gathered them as I knocked on their doors. I know there are many more good ideas, and I want the city to explore implementing all of them. As you heard in my previous remarks, progress has always come hard to our city. Sometimes I think we have fought it at every turn. To be a modern city, Farmers Branch needs to listen to and include the people who live and work here in our decision process. We need people like you to help chart our course and move our city forward. When I am mayor, Brookhaven College will be a valued partner in the development of Farmers Branch. Thank you, and be sure and vote.
The question is what separates me from my opponents. I would tell you that my background is as a lawyer over the last 25 years of dispute resolution, problem solving is one of the key things that separates me from my clients and makes me a more qualified candidate to run the city as a mayor, because you have to have the ability to analyze the small issues and the big issues. You have to be able to put the two together and make sure that the decision on the small issue doesn't impact negatively on the big issue. We have to run the entire city, which means we have to be mindful of the college, the businesses, the residents, our parks, the services we provide. So having spent 25 years trying to solve problems, I think that gives me a leg up on my opponents. I also am very energetic. I hate to say I'm younger, but I still have a lot more energy and spend a lot of time, not only with my day job, but I also spend a lot of time on city-related issues. And that keeps me motivated, it keeps me sharp. Although I've not been on council for the year, I continue to be involved in everything that goes on, and I continue to try to bring in development to the city. One of the key elements of a successful city is the infrastructure, and we have good infrastructure. But the element that is more critical, and there are two parts of it, are the citizens, the individual citizens and the business citizens. And that was the issue and the element that got neglected for 25 years. And that's what resulted for a long time in the center of our town starting to deteriorate, businesses moving out. And so when I got on council, what we did was start to focus back on the individuals and the businesses. You guys, my family, their neighbors, their residences, and more importantly, the businesses, because that's what keeps us gainfully employed. That's where we get our tax revenues from. And so my background helps me be better prepared to do that. Also, it's easy to talk about divisiveness and wedge issues. It's not as easy to take action. One of the things that I think will separate me, and you could go down and look at the records in City Hall, while I was on council for the 6 years, 2007 through 13, we appointed more minorities to boards and commissions than had been appointed in decades combined before that, because we saw the importance of making sure the city was well represented from all walks of life, all races and nationalities. And so that is an action as opposed to words. I try to put my actions out so that they're successful and they benefit the whole city. How much more time do I have?
I think that's sufficient. Thank you. Carol, sorry.
Well, I am different from the other two candidates. Obviously, I'm a woman, but that's not as important, I think, as my experience. My experience in city government was at a time when we really made great progress in Farmers Branch. I spoke to you previously about some of the things that came out of our forward Farmers Branch goal-setting process. It was also a time of development. The whole east side developed, all the buildings along the tollway, and I got to know about development, and I know how to talk to developers. I also think at this point in Farmers Branch history that my community experience is even more important, because we do have a divided community as a result of our immigration fight. I was on the founding board of MetroCrest Services and Senior Adult Services. I helped get Brookhaven College here. I have worked on nonprofit boards of various agencies. I have worked with citizen groups. David mentioned the Creek issue in the 90s. I was an integral part of that group trying to convince the city to do something about it. I'm a person who can get things done, and I'm, if you're a woman and you're a mother, you know how to resolve disputes. It's kind of second nature. But I think it's important that we have new faces and new ideas and new voices at this time in Farmers Branch, so we can truly show people in the region that things are going to change. And once people realize that, we will be able to go forward. And I, as far as, being old and tired, or even kind of, less sharp, I totally would challenge David, not to a foot race necessarily, but I have knocked at least well over 1,000 doors, and I'm knocking doors 7 days a week. and I got up this morning and came here to talk to you. Thank you.
Lots of good points. I too have been accused of being old and dilapidated and out of touch. I want to tell you, my wife and I both had our annual physical in December. We were pronounced with good health, and that's all that counts. So make it short and sweet. Why am I different than my opponents? The main thing is experience. I was mayor for 12 years, longest serving mayor in the history of our city, by the way. And I have the ability to talk to anyone. We had I'm knocking doors too, and I've knocked a lot more than 1,000, but I'm hearing that people are concerned that they have no response from City Hall when they ask questions. And it's just not right. The citizens are our employees, our employers, not employees. They're the ones we work for, and they're the ones that elect us. Lots of people have told me that City Hall is unresponsive to their questions. They're not accessible to them when they go down there. No one listens to them. That was my program before, tell it to the mayor, and that's what it's for. Listen to the citizens, all the citizens, and this is a big concern to me. So I think that the experience and my ability to concentrate talking to people and concentrate on their problems is a big deal, and that's what I plan to do.
Thank you. Okay, this time we'll go back to Carol having the first opportunity to speak. I have received 3 questions in a number of different, I'd say, ways that we're asking about the same things here. So the students clearly are hitting on some core issues that you all have brought up, but they would like to have some follow-up clarity on. Okay, the first question is regarding the issue of race in Farmers Branch, the immigration issue, law enforcement issue. So I'm going to paraphrase these 3 questions into something more concise. This one probably captures it the best. I am an immigrant, and I have to choose where I want to live. And I live in fear, and I drive in fear in Farmers Branch, and I'm not sure I want to live here. Would you care to comment about that?
Well, yes, I understand exactly what you're saying. I did talk with Police Chief Fuller about the crime in Farmers Branch. And one of the things I did ask him, I said, I have a personal trainer. She trains a older man in Addison who is a retired judge, but he is originally from Spain. And he's afraid to come into Farmers Branch. And I thought, that's crazy. And Chief Fuller said that we do not stop anyone unless they're violating the law. And once they're stopped, they're treated just like anybody else who runs a stop sign or speeds. Now, I take him at his word. But this is exactly the kind of thing that is the reason that we need new people involved in our city government. As I said, Ana Reyes recruited me to run for mayor. If there's a Hispanic vote cast in this election, I will get it. They trust me to do the right thing and to include them. And really, an elected official and their constituent, the relationship is based on trust. And I think if you look at past actions, you can see that the way I acted during this issue, which was actively opposing it from day one, and speaking at a council meeting against every time the appeal came up, and also leading some active opposition to it, separates me from David Koch, who helped write the ordinance, and Bob Phelps, who oversaw its implementation. And is that the answer?
Yes, thank you. Well, we'll let each candidate offer a reply, please.
All right, on the race and immigration issues, this has been a fiasco for our city, totally. Back up just a little bit, when this was first brought up, our city attorney at that time, John Boyle, and well, when I first got on there, Hutchison Boyle was our city attorney. Ray Hutchison was Kay Bailey Hutchison's husband. When Kay was elected to the U.S. Senate, he kind of pulled out of his and went with her. But we were told then that all we were going to do is spend a bunch of taxpayer dollars on a case that you cannot win because it's a federal issue. And I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened. We have spent millions of dollars on this, and we've accomplished nothing. As far as being afraid to drive in Farmers Branch, I don't buy that really, because I have ridden with police officers, and they don't stop anybody unless they're breaking the law. I just finished serving 3 months on the Dallas County grand jury, and a number of cases that come to the grand jury is because of traffic stops. And believe me, some of those in Dallas are really bad stops. I mean, if a guy's tail light's out, stop him. If he fails to signal a turn or changes a lane without, they stop him. And they find a lot of illegal drugs and stuff like that. And that's good, but we don't do that in Farmers Branch. We do not target any race or class of people unless they're breaking the law. And I can attest to that. I've been here a long time, and I think that's the way it should be. If you break the law, you're going to get stopped. But as far as being here because you're Hispanic or any other class of people, don't be afraid to drive in Farmers Branch.
I didn't know I was an author, but I guess if she wants to claim I am, she can say what she wants. I didn't author the statute, but I will not step back and say that I did not have any involvement in the illegal immigration issue in the city of Farmers Branch. The reputation or the fear of driving in Farmers Branch, as I said, I grew up here. When I was your age, Farmers Branch had a reputation of being very tough on drivers. That was just the reputation they had. That reputation has been perpetuated over the years, in spite of the fact that our police force routinely makes an effort to give as much grace, if not more grace, on driving infractions, speeding predominantly. For instance, if you got a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, our police force does not pull you over if you're doing 36. That is a reputation that still lives today. I hear that in friends I talk to around the city, and they say they still think Farmers Branch is a tough place to be for traffic infractions. And it's a reputation that was formed years ago, and it still lives, but our police force takes a lot of effort to make sure that they can do their best in dispelling that. And so there is actually more grace than you would expect. Now, as far as the fear factor also, Chief Fuller every year is tasked with compiling the information of every one of our stops and putting it through a criteria to determine whether we have any excess efforts or improper efforts to target any particular race one way or another. Every year for the last 10 years, we have been determined to have absolutely zero statistical issues regarding race, color, anything. Those numbers are not just left at the city level. They are then reviewed and checked by independent groups. So every year we have passed with flying colors that the city is not targeting anybody. So there isn't a real basis to fear being in Farmers Branch for any reason. Statistically, in 2000, under the census, the percentage of Farmers Branch that was minority, predominantly Hispanic, was about 45%. In the 2010 census, after we went through all the illegal immigration issues, or much of it, the census reveals that we still have the same percentage, or roughly the same percentage, perhaps a tad bit higher, of minorities living in Farmers Branch, predominantly, again, Hispanics. That would suggest to you that the Hispanic population in Farmers Branch does not fear the city and any actions they take. They find the city engaging, inviting. In fact, I've been walking on and knocking on doors in District 1, which is predominantly the Hispanic area. And I talk to the people, and when I get to a door with a Hispanic, I ask them, how do you feel about the city? And almost to the one, they say they feel welcome, they like the city, and they want to stay here. So, myths, legends, carry on, but you really have to get out in the community and check with the people who live here to get a real read on it. As I mentioned before, one of our efforts when I was on council to make sure that everybody felt welcome was to reach out and appoint more minority members to the boards and commissions. My last count was there were 15 minorities. 13 of the 15 were of Hispanic origin. So we made a strong effort to reach out to those folks, and they appreciated it. And I suspect because of that, I know all the people we appointed, or most of them, will support me in the election. And they tell their friends, and they explain to their friends that you have to look at the actions, not the words, to pick your candidate. So I think the fear factor is it's real in that you have it, but the basis is not there.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so I wasn't able to get to these other questions regarding business development, but I would invite all the students who have any follow-up questions to contact each one of the candidates through their portals online, and you can send them an email with a follow-up question. And I see that, Bob, you have one.
Yeah, I just want to thank y'all again for having us. It's been a great pleasure to be here, and I know these students are in a hurry to get to another class. So,
All right, well, thank you.
thank you.